Welcome to the Google Admin Podcast, the podcast by and for Google Admins. Okay, well, welcome everybody. We are actually recording now the GSFE Admins Podcast. We are your GSFE Admins. My name is Lance Lennon. I'm the Technology Director from the Eagle Grove School District in Eagle Grove, Iowa.
I am Chad Ferricks. I am the Director of Technology for ADM Schools near Des Moines, Iowa.
And I am Karl Hare, newly minted Google Cloud Solutions Consultant at Amplified IT.
It's kind of funny because those that aren't in the room right now don't realize we've got Karl coming in via a Zoom Connect into Wirecast, and the audience cannot hear what Karl is saying, but he is being projected up on the screen. And so what's happening is his lips are moving, and nobody can tell what it is that he is saying, but they know that he's talking. Right? And truthfully, it's probably better that way, but that's just me. So I think we're going to have to address a couple of a couple of things that have come up since our last podcast. Our last podcast was in July. It was actually here at Glacier Canyon then also, but for the Google for Education Technical Conference. And at that point in time, all three of us were here together along with Joe Wakeman. But somebody's predicament changed since then, or someone's life situation. Anybody want to talk about that?
No.
Okay. So right now, Karl said no. Karl's situation has changed. So now Karl's going to talk, and everybody in the audience is going to look and be like, what are you talking about? But go ahead and explain, Karl.
Absolutely. Starting August 1st, I started working for Amplified IT. Most of the folks in the GSFE admin world know that who Amplified IT is and what they do. If you don't, we are a Google integration service that helps schools, K-12 and higher ed, to integrate Google tools from audits to best practices to our labs tools. So I started working for them in August, and my new position actually is a lot to do with new proof of concepts, trying out new tools, testing out new things. I'm doing a little bit of presenting, not as much. I don't have to travel a boatload. I was up and did some security summits in Toronto, got to go to the Google offices in New York and help do some things up there. So yeah, it's significantly different. It's my first trip outside of public education in 18 years. And I'm really enjoying it. I get to work from home. So I got a 10-foot commute down the hall, wear my slippers during the day. And if it gets cold, I put my hoodie on, so it's, I'm okay with that. Get to hang out with the office dog, and it's a good time. So definitely glad I made the jump. They're a great group of people to work with. Tim and Pete and the entire crew there at Amplified. They do some amazing work, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
And at this point, everybody in the room forgets how much Karl likes to talk, and they can't hear you. So from now on, your answers have to be very short and sweet. But no, congratulations on the job. Not sad at all that you left us. Oh, yeah, wait, no, I am. I'm very sad, but that's okay. Life will go on. So Chad and I, are still doing presentations here at the Midwest Google Summit. One thing that I thought was absolutely incredible this year was the number of IT admins that are at the conference this year. So Chad and I do a lot of admin sessions, a lot of admin strain, and normally the room looks kind of like, I'm going to go ahead and go to the audience camera here so that they can see. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, the audience. So we do have people here. And as you can see, there's in the picture right now, you see about 6-7 people. That's probably a normal size room for what we present, maybe 10, low double digits.
Yep.
I had a session this morning, what's new with the Google admin, what's new for admins. And for those of you that were here, that room was pretty much full. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy.
It was a full room.
I've never seen that before. A lot of IT people here, so that's a good thing. So I did the what's new this morning, and Chad was in the session also. So we got to address those things that changed since the GFETC. Number one, of course, is the new look in the admin council. But the big elephant in the room was the changing of approving apps, extensions, and add-ons. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Now, Chad loved the new method, right?
No, I did not. I did not love it.
I'm not sure anybody does. I don't think anybody likes it.
No, and I don't know that anybody does like it the current way. So I understand what Google's trying to do in terms of making things a single pane of glass that you're looking at, trying to manage from one window, but the process became much less user-friendly. And not a fan of that.
Yeah, I get what they were after with those changes, but it was not executed well.
So have either of you worked out a workflow on approving those apps just yet, or what are your plans in your domains?
So Karl just asked if any of us have figured out a workflow to approving apps inside of our domains. And what I can say is for our district, and one thing that we noticed this morning, I thought I'd lost my mind, and I mentioned it in the session this morning, that the approval was either you had the ability for users to download apps, extensions, and add-ons, and it was domain-wide. It was either yes, they can, or no, they can't, and I'm going to force install them. So it was one or the other, and we actually found that that button has changed today. I don't know that it was today, but last night when I was making sure that my session was up to date-ish, found that you could, by OU, make that possible or impossible.
But the thing is, it's
Still whitelisted, so the people that you don't approve it for or force it for still can get it. So if I can
Karl
get to
said
the marketplace,
it's still whitelisted, so even though you don't approve it for them, they can still get it.
correct. Anything on that whitelist is available to anybody that can find it in the marketplace.
Okay, but if I have it set that, I block all, if I'm a school district that blocks all extensions and add-ons and apps, except for the ones I approve, at least those are all still blocked. Even if I approve them for teachers, the kids can get them, but they're ones that I approved. It's not just open. But if I open it, if I have it open, I say anyone can get access to the apps, but then at a different OU, I block it and say only allow the apps I push, that doesn't block it?
Add-ons and marketplace is different. Remember, there's no way for you to right now block access to a whitelisted add-on or marketplace app while allowing it for somebody else.
Add-ons. He's talking add-ons specifically.
Add-ons and marketplace.
Yeah.
That's it.
Add-ons, yes, no.
Yes.
Not apps or extensions.
Correct.
And
Apps and
marketplace,
extensions
oh my
didn't
gosh.
change.
If anyone was in my security session, I could not remember the word marketplace. We were coming up with all sorts of creative names for that, but the name is marketplace. I did lose my mind in my session. I couldn't remember that word. And Karl just said it. But yeah, that's just whitelisted for the whole domain. You can't, that's not OU specific for that one.
Right. It's the only one that is that way. The other ones, you're fine. Nothing's changed there other than where you do it.
Yeah, I think the setting that Lance is talking about is it used to be in the long list of user settings, right? And they moved it into the new look at the top of the list. And there's two choices. You can block or allow.
Right.
Correct.
So that was my session this morning, and I was like one of those things, and we talked to, again, I'm going to call it a record number of IT directors at the Midwest Google Summit.
This is a record number of people listening to us.
This actually might be our largest live recording audience, and we did not offer beer.
Oh. And that's why I'm not there today.
Karl said that's why he's not here. He would have driven 5 hours for a 1 hour.
For free beer?
For free beer. Then we couldn't let you drive home.
Nope, I'd have to stay.
Oh, well. You
we
can
are
work from
responsible.
anywhere.
This is true.
Wouldn't have Office Dog if he worked from here,
That's
though.
true. Office Dog would be home by himself.
Office lonely. So that was my session this morning. I'm doing a security session tomorrow. I talked to Stacy. We're going to run 2 security sessions here that'll probably be incredibly similar. But opposite of Chad this morning, you ran the security session. Someone was doing a data studio, and there was a belief that that might take some of the admins, and then they would have the opportunity to go to data studio and security rather than have to pick one or the other. But Chad said you all stayed in his session too?
A lot of them did. It wasn't full like yours, so I think some people did go over to Data Studio.
Oh, I was hoping that they would all have been at yours and skip mine tomorrow.
Nope. No such luck.
Who did the data studio? Was it James?
James.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I'm doing Data Studio tomorrow.
Okay.
So they could have seen your security and gotten Data Studio and
Yep.
not have to go to my session.
They could.
I still got to figure out my demo slam.
You don't have it yet?
I've got a very good idea and a little bit of practice.
Oh, I got you.
It's
Okay.
just not perfected.
You got to practice.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Kafka raised the bar. So, all right. So that was mine. What's new was the Android and apps and extensions fiasco. Google, if you're listening, make it better. Make it much, much better.
And it's not that it's super horrible. It's just different. And you know how we all like change.
We love change.
We love change.
I think one of the things that I struggle with the most with the change in the dashboard is
Some of the stuff, the only way to do it is to go back to the classic view. And when you, Chad, you're 100% right. You can cut this out and record it over and over again. But searching for settings is totally broken.
Yeah.
It's a giant mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Karl just mentioned and to the audience here is that the search feature inside of the admin console appears to be fairly broken. And it was a wonderful feature because we all like to say we totally always remember exactly where to go for every setting. And the truth is we don't. We you know, how many times do you have to click 17 different spots? I'm hoping you don't have to click 17, but yeah, I've clicked probably as many as I could dig down through to find out where that setting was. Like I remember that setting exists, I just don't necessarily remember where. But you could always just go up in the search bar and start typing in some of the words in that setting, and voila, it would take you right there. And now, yeah, not so much.
No, and that's how I navigate the admin console. I admitted that in my security session this morning. I'm like, I don't know where anything is anymore. And I can't find it because if I used to know where it was, it's now moved because they changed the whole look. And while they changed the look, they broke search. So that's a double whammy. So not only did they move stuff around, they made it so you can't find it with the search. And that's super annoying. It's getting better slowly, I think. The first couple days after the big changes, nothing. You couldn't find anything using search. And there are certain things that are still pretty well jacked up. Tried to search for something in my security session this morning, and it totally didn't come up at all. So
It's always nice because now you have to actually know where you're going. And I'm not always so good at that.
Is anybody seeing currents starting to show up? So you're seeing settings for services that aren't there yet?
I have not seen it. Karl just asked, has anybody seen settings for currents show up in your admin console yet?
When you're searching.
When you're searching, sorry, not just like in the admin console. Anybody see that yet? Nobody here has, Karl. They're all shaking their heads saying no.
Because I've had a few domains I've worked with that aren't part of the currents beta. And you search up at the top there for a setting, and it will start to show currents settings, and they don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's not available yet.
I just did it, and it does. It tries to take you to the currents apps settings, and it doesn't exist, so it flashes and then thinks for a second and then bounces you back to the main app list.
Oh, all kinds of fun.
Oh, that's fun. But now we know that there's a new toy coming.
Well, we knew that
Oh,
was
we knew
coming.
Yeah, I
It
know.
was coming.
But it must be soon if you can search for a setting. It's just hidden because you can search for it, and it pops up with autofill. So
It'll be there someday.
someday they did that before with a button that you clicked and it didn't take you anywhere. What was that?
Well, it would pop up. You'd like go to was it the device management or user management screen where it would pop up for a second and then go away.
Yeah, it would flash.
And that was mobile device management, wasn't it?
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But this isn't the first time they've done such things.
It's like an Easter egg. They like to tease you. Guess what's coming? No, then you don't get it. But overall, I am going to say that I do like the look of the new admin console. It is much better, in my opinion. I've finally gotten used to the top left-hand side, clicking on the flat hamburger and using the drop-down menu instead of going up to the home page and going to users and digging down through, being able to, just navigate through without having to click. Makes it a lot nicer. They took away the customization of the admin control panel there, so you can't move your icons around. Boo Google.
Yeah, boo Google.
Boo Google.
I never moved him, but it made Lance sad, so that means I'm sad too.
I appreciate that. Chad's an empath, for those that didn't know.
Yeah, said nobody ever.
Yes.
Have you ever taken the Strengths Finder thing?
No.
Where
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Yep.
personality strengths
Yeah.
from the people that do the TV studies. It's the same place.
Nielsen?
No, not Nielsen. You know what I mean, though.
I
And
didn't know what you meant because I
empathy.
thought you said Nielsen.
empathy is Cliff's. I'll find it later.
All right. Cliff's Notes?
No, empathy is my lowest one.
I find that so hard to believe.
You shouldn't.
No, I don't. Chad doesn't have empathy.
So, there are good things from all these changes in the admin console. It's slowly. I think I think we have to give it a little while, and then we got to get used to it, and then let Google iron out the wrinkles. But they've added some really cool new features. You know, it used to be the only way to add a whole bunch of users was to use a tool like GAM, and they built in the CSV upload stuff into the console. I'll never use it because I prefer GAM, but
You could bulk upload with the CSV. It was limited. In other words, you could put the users in, but they all ended up at the root domain.
Right,
It
right,
was
right.
Now, here's the one thing about the bulk upload that just drives me crazy is, hey Google, you make me have to use a CSV rather than a Google Sheet to upload the information. Oh, did your phone
From a
just?
search.
I heard that go off.
my phone is answering him.
Yes. So I don't understand why I can't use a Google Sheet to upload into the Google Admin Console, where I have to use a Google Sheet, create the spreadsheet, download it as a CSV, and then upload it back into Google. That's silly to me.
That is silly.
Boo Google.
Boo.
This is going to turn into the Boo Google podcast. Not really. We still like Google, just not in these two separate instances. But how about our audience? Since we do have an audience, every now and then I do like to poll the audience and ask, anybody have feelings very strongly, one way or the other, about the new admin council?
We need that
I
cricket
think it's
noise.
fine. I mean, it's kind of annoying having to like put a filter in to search for an asset tag for a Chromebook. Kind of gets on my nerves pretty quick. But,
Yeah.
No,
the-
there's a company that makes a great add-on that helps
It is
working
faster.
with Chromebooks, makes it a lot easier.
That's one of the consensus we had from this morning was that it did definitely seem that the admin council is faster. It's more responsive. Karl, you remember, Chad, you remember the original admin council. What was it? It was 99% text.
Yeah, I think admin console is a stretch for like the original thing you had to use.
Yeah, but it was fast.
It was fast
It was fast. And then it did over time.
because it did nothing, really.
Right. Now it just got more bloated. 'cause
Yeah, it's now bloated. Yes.
Well, I like the old one. It had words.
You still play Text Adventures on your Commodore 64?
I had a VIC-20.
Oh,
you enter a room, there is a door to the east and a door to the west.
what do you do?
I always go to the door to the east.
I turn around.
Oh,
Turn around, turn around, turn around.
terrible people. All right, so we had one person kind of said it was okay, stuff's going on. Again, any update that they come out with and things that change, there's going to be positives, there's going to be negatives. And I think, unfortunately, our natural human instinct is we focus on the negatives first, rather than looking at the positives and the things they're doing. Like, let's face it, they're putting money into the admin council and development. So that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing at all.
But so now will be the odd time for the audience that is actually here, because Karl has a topic he's going to talk about. So if you watch the screen, if you can read lips, we can have Karl talk. He's going to talk. He wants to talk about new advances in enterprise. Now, enterprise is for pay. It gives you a few more features, and Karl's going to talk about it, and our audience isn't going to hear a single word. So go ahead, Karl.
Yeah, this is going to be super weird. So Enterprise, we all know, is a paid-for edition. You have access to more resources. But one of the big things that we're starting to see, and it might be a good question to ask the room, Lance, is how many people in that room would like to be able to geofence their logins
Yes.
so
Okay.
that nobody outside the United States
Okay,
could log
so-
in?
Oh, I talked about that in my security thing.
They
Because
didn't hear him.
Yeah, I know.
You're getting
So-
very excited about something they have
Oh,
no
they heard-
idea.
Most of these people heard me get excited once about this already.
Okay. So what Karl was just asking was, how many of you would like to be able to geofence your Chromebook login so that
Any
Pardon?
service login. Any G Suite
any
service login.
G Suite service, so they could only log in basically by geolocation in your school building? Anyone out there that feels strongly about that? Got some hemming and some hawing, couple of head shakes.
So in your context-aware beta, that context-aware section.
Just a sec, Karl.
for
Pardon?
For students, we have geolocation off, because we want it more available.
So, good point is, that was just brought up, is geolocation for students is turned off as a security feature because you don't want people being able to find out where they is.
Wouldn't work
So-
with virtual.
When what?
Wouldn't work with virtual school.
Ooh, wouldn't work with a virtual school. Ooh, Karl, you're getting the smack down here. They can't even hear you and they like smacking you down.
The thing is that you could do it not just by subnet though,
But you can do it by geographic region. So your virtual school, as long as you know they're from the United States, they can log into their services. But you can keep them from logging in from Uzbekistan or the Ukraine or Sudan, right?
I
That's a very
mentioned
good point.
Croatia in
Yeah.
my session.
Yeah, so Karl was just talking about maybe just geolocating them to the United States versus the Ukraine, Uzbekistan, China, or Russia.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to build a geofence with lat long
No.
digits. You can
Yep.
do it by
My
region.
school district is 12 square miles. That's the geofence that they have to abide by.
But that feature is only available in Enterprise.
Right.
And
But that's only available in Enterprise.
only available to licensed users of Enterprise. So you have to apply a license to that user, whether it's so Google has some free student licenses that you get when you buy a full domain license. So you can apply that to a student and that would work. That would preclude them from logging into a Google core service outside of these bounds that you had. The other thing would be is that if you had a VPN set up, you'd obviously have to have your VPN subnet listed in your approved subnets for that context-aware beta stuff.
So that's all part of Enterprise stuff.
It is. It is. And the other big thing that we've been digging into is audit logs dumping into BigQuery and then Data Studio. And that's, in this situation for the people in the room, would be a pretty useless conversation. But basically, you can extract all of your admin logs into perpetuity into BigQuery. Whereas in your dashboard, they're only there for 60 or 180 days, depending on the service. So you have the ability to back up information into BigQuery, but then you have to have the license for Enterprise, and you have to pay some BigQuery costs in order to do that. But they're pretty insignificant. We're talking $10 a month for a good-sized domain.
When I asked in my session this morning if any of them were actually using Enterprise, we had one school district that was here that was using Enterprise. They had just started out, and so they weren't able to say whether they felt it was worth the investment at this point in time. But again, I haven't had a chance to look at it either. Mostly
There's
because
just
I haven't had a chance to spend any money.
there's just a lot more coming to Enterprise that I'm seeing making it more valuable, not just on the technical back end, but even on the instructional side with your originality reports, having that in Enterprise going forward once the beta's done. My son had it at Ames, and he loved it as a student. He thought it was super great to have that originality reports. So that's another one that they're starting to blend the technical and the instructional together to provide a greater value because it's not cheap. I mean, it's not an inexpensive cost, that's for sure.
Not inexpensive for the districts or not inexpensive for Google?
I would say yes. I mean, there's a reason they're passing on the costs. I mean, it's obviously not free for them to do it, but it's definitely not inexpensive for the school either. I mean, their enterprise licenses are not cheap.
The fan on my computer is running incredibly loud.
Yes, it is. The audio's picking that up.
Yes. When we run Wirecast, it is hard on my CPU, and this older Mac doesn't handle it well.
We could dip your Mac in a container of oil when we broadcast.
A liquid cooled solution. How about that? Let's do that instead of oil.
Would that affect anything else?
I don't know.
It'd make it hard to see the screen.
We should try it with your computer.
Okay, we'll try it with my computer. I'll get this running on my computer. That sounds good.
So rather than belabor a bizarre conversation with a room of people watching me talk on the thing
On the screen, my big thing is enterprise is really starting to develop some value. There's some stuff in there like cloud search that I don't see as being super useful. But there's a lot of great stuff coming to enterprise and some real good stuff that's there now that's worth checking out if you're not already looking into it.
I'm going to squash Karl. Watch this. Screen change. I don't know. They really shouldn't give me free tools. Oh, but speaking of free tools, I do want to thank...
But hold on. Oh, yeah, go ahead with your thing.
I'm just going to pimp out our advertisers, our supporters here. So when we do a live broadcast, we record via Wirecast. Wirecast is an application by Telestream that allows you to do production quality if you have production quality skills, which clearly I don't, but production quality at a very inexpensive cost. So we run it from this Mac with a very inexpensive soundboard, some decent-ish mics, and kind of hope to get a good podcast recording both video and audio. The podcast equipment audio side was brought to us, was paid for by GoGuardian. So we do want to thank those two sponsors. We promise to shout out every podcast we do that we use their tools, because they did get those for us so that we could connect in with these things. And believe it or not, we have Karl coming in via some other thing other than Hangout. I'm not going to say the name.
No, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
No.
So back to the enterprise thing for just a second. I dislike that they rolled in a security feature into enterprise only. If that's going to help our users be safer and their data be safer, I dislike that they're making people pay for that extra safety. I get the whole reporting and the audit logs and all that stuff that are enterprise only. I get all that. They're running giant domains, and those audit logs are going to be important for them to track a whole bunch of stuff, right? But the whole context awareness, which is a really cool security feature, I don't like that they're making us pay for that. We're so used to getting all of what they do for free. I get that whole argument. But I mean, they do, the way it is, they give it to us for free, and so I guess I tend to expect the security that goes with the system to also be free.
And I hear your point, and I have no objection to them charging for enterprise tools that, again, they're added features as to what you're wanting. But I would think security would be something that they would, especially at the education level, when you're talking children and children's data, that they would want to offer that and make sure and say, because again, I always say that Google's not altruistic. They give us Google for Education for free in hopes that these kids will go on in their real lives and their real work to pay for these services.
Right.
And enterprise, like you said, has tools, and you will have large data storage and the query functionality that takes computing on the back end. And not that the security doesn't, but if you are using and giving this to children for free and to schools who are then using it with children for free, you really should be trying to protect their information more so than anybody else that's using your tool, in my opinion. But that may be very much just an educator standpoint that I am a little biased that way.
Yeah, I totally get it. You're not the first people
To say that either. And I'm sure Google's getting feedback on that. And we'll see what happens. The DLP stuff that's there for Drive, that was originally supposed to be enterprise only. And now that's available to everybody. And again, is a super, super powerful tool. And they are adding to that as a security feature that isn't being charged for too. So we're still getting a lot of stuff in the regular G Suite for EDU, but there are some things that appear to be, and I think we're going to see more of those that are going to appear to be for pay only in enterprise.
Yep, crack dealer special. They get
That's
you
my
hooked.
term.
They get you hooked, and then they keep adding really cool stuff to get you to pay.
We got you hooked on crack. Now we have extra
So,
crack.
They're sticking to their promise of never ever charging for EDU, but
Yeah.
they're sliding around that a little bit with the cool shiny stuff that you have to pay for.
Yeah, but they're keeping the core services.
They are.
I mean,
Yep,
the core
they are.
services are free.
And they're
That's out there.
amazing, right? There's a reason we're all at a Google Summit, and there's a reason so many schools go with Chromebooks, because they are amazing free tools.
We were trying to talk about it last night. Karl, you came to the first Midwest Google Summit, right?
Did.
What year was that?
Um,
I put him on the spot. I didn't let him know I was going to
Yeah.
ask him this.
That's a tricky question.
I'm gonna guess that the second year was the year Iowa State to Kansas basketball. I would say we're pushing 9 years now that we've been doing this. Maybe just 8.
So my thought was 2011 was the first year.
That might be right, because I was at Ames when I came over here. I wasn't at South Hammy.
Right.
Came over with Dowhauer, actually. I never actually drove to the Dells for the college. I always rode with other people.
So Karl just said he never drove to the Dells. Karl, he's been here a lot of time. If you figure it's been
Yes,
twice a year
twice
for
a year.
7 years, plus the first 3 years, that's 17. And then the Google for Education Technical Conference, which was 3 different times. That's almost, well, you missed a few. So you're probably at 17 trips to the Dells.
I've missed one.
He's missed one. No, you missed this
And-
one and one other one.
Well, okay, yep. So I've missed 2 then.
Okay.
And I did drive up once with my family. I brought them up during one of the spring summits.
Okay.
Oh.
So he drove one time.
But that's because he brought his family. That was nice of him.
Correct. It would have
Alright.
been weird to make Stacy drive me and the kids.
Yeah, that would be that would be a little different.
Wow. I don't know. You got any other?
Is anybody talking brand accounts there at the summit?
Yeah, we
Oh,
talked about
yeah,
that
we
in my
talked.
session this morning. Talked brand accounts, and you know, it was like at my school. A lot of schools, some had issues where they had users with massive amounts of video that it's a pain for. But on the most part, a lot of us were in the same boat where it was a lot of kids' videos that they didn't need or didn't want, or else it wasn't anything that was too difficult to work around. But for the ones that it was a pain.
Okay.
So.
Nice. It's just been very, very popular in the Google Plus communities.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Yeah, but again, I think it's people who, and I'm not saying that it's not an issue. And it was just, it's in my opinion, it's like you were never supposed to do this, and yes, they kind of pushed you to do this. It did say in the
made
EULA that you were not supposed to have a brand account in an EDU domain.
Yeah, but when you made a channel, they pretty much made you make one.
Yes, okay, I
Correct.
get that.
Couldn't have a channel otherwise like that. That was crazy.
I think it was just the methodology in which they told us it was changing and how fast it was and when they made the announcement. It's like, oh, school's out, by the way.
Yeah.
All your users are going to lose their videos if they don't convert them by July 1. They're gone. So, I don't know. Are there any other topics from the audience?
You're full of like unprepared questions today for just surprising people out of the blue.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I really like to just throw it on them. Then you get genuine responses.
You do? Okay. I'll go with that theory.
YouTube management,
Pardon?
YouTube management, the boss told me I was supposed to figure out.
YouTube management.
Are you talking about managing the videos kids watch or?
Yeah. We're using security's method of, so we have the highest prescription, teachers can approve.
Right.
That's.
How's that working out?
So then they can still upload videos, they can still,
Yep.
so you have to
I-
have YouTube turned on to them so that they can do that, but technically you're not supposed to have YouTube turned on to it because they're not all.
not of the age limit to be able to upload videos to YouTube, right? They can watch the videos, but they can't upload, but they're up. Yeah, so the question I asked was, what about YouTube management? Anybody have any really good YouTube management techniques? This particular school is using Securely, and they set the highest security level on, which means teachers have to approve videos for students to watch. But in order for that to be effective, students have to have YouTube accounts, and have a YouTube account, they have to be 13 or older. 14?
Oh, it's a course service, or it's not a course service. It's the same EULA as you can have parents sign off on it and give it to younger kids.
But do they have to sign, or is it? Can it be tacit?
It's my magic checkbox that I have on our
Yeah.
online registration.
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
YouTube
We
as a
had
course service, or not even a course service, but it's under the same
not a
EULA
course
as what
service.
Karl is saying, so you can actually, they can create YouTube. You may not want them to, but they can. They're allowed, how's that? And the approve or deny, and I've had that too, where we have the approval set up in the domain itself on my district, and I have teachers that'll go in who are in the teacher group, and they're supposed to be able to approve videos, who can't. They don't get the approve button, and you have to add that. Did you guys ever find that one in the GSFE admins community, where there's an URL addition you add on to a YouTube video that then pops up that approve button for them? Do you know? Why does
Yes.
everybody look at me?
Yes.
You remember that discussion though?
Yes.
Okay. And so you can do that, but again, it's a pain. So a lot of times it'll happen, the teacher will say, hey, I want to show this video. And I'm like, okay, real quick, I go to it and approve it. Doesn't bother me too much. But again, I'm a smaller district, and it makes it a little easier to do that because it's only happening less frequently than, say, school district the size of Las Vegas.
Well, yeah, that's a big one.
So, any other questions, concerns, comments?
It's sort of weird having so many people out there watching us talk.
Just looking. Actually, they aren't really watching us. They're all on their computers.
They are.
That's okay.
Well, it's a little weird for them too because they can't hear Karl.
It's weird.
Unless there's a lip reader out there.
Some say it's weird. Some say,
Oh,
Had we been using Meet, you could turn on captioning.
oh, that's
Yeah, we
true.
could've.
That would have been a good idea. So Karl just said, had we been able to capture meat and have captioning on, so as he's talking, you could read what he's saying,
Correct. It also doesn't let you swear, though.
which you haven't done. He said it doesn't let you swear, but he hasn't sworn.
Nope, not in this episode.
Nope. We aren't an NC-17 podcast.
Just kind of a minor miracle.
I have.
Anything exciting going on at the summit? New sessions? What are we seeing there? I need to know. I'm having FOMO, guys. Help me out.
I don't know. New session wise, anybody go to anything completely new?
no. We got crickets. Again, we need that cricket noise thing.
You know, the what's new with the admin council, that's talking about new stuff, but
But
Yeah.
that's not a new session. That's just
not a new session.
new stuff.
There really haven't been any. Well, no. Tammy is doing her
Oh yeah.
culture.
And there was some
There was some new
pretty
stuff for
cool
culture.
stuff. You can do the augmented reality.
But that's still a session she did last year. She just has updated
Oh
it.
yeah, that's just new stuff in that tool.
A couple of big query ones or big data.
Did I
data
do
studio.
Data Studio here last year? Or in the
Somebody
spring?
did. There was data studio in the spring.
I can't remember when I started that one.
So no,
Anybody doing BigQuery or just Data Studio?
data studio.
Yeah.
Anybody using BigQuery?
That costs money, Karl.
Yeah.
It's super cheap.
It
Come
is
on,
super cheap, you're
penny
right.
pincher. It's also way faster too. When you start talking data sets of millions of cells,
Right.
CSV isn't going to work.
Right. No, I'm with you.
And I still don't have an official ODBC connector into Data Studio either.
Because you haven't put one in, or there isn't one.
There's not an official one there that I've seen, right, Chad?
Right. Just to MySQL. There's a MySQL connector,
Yeah.
but not a
Not
true
real
ODBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an ask, or at least MS SQL integration.
Moose and squirrel.
No, not moose and squirrel. I said the naughty word. Yes.
That's what MS is. Moose and squirrel. All right.
Okay.
Well, I think it was a short but sweet edition this time.
Oh, what are we at?
We're at 2:20.
Oh,
So
not bad.
10
though.
minutes short, 50 minutes.
Lots of content. I mean, lots of admin stuff.
And a very patient audience that sat around and waited for us to get our audio figured out.
Right.
We appreciate
Karl
that.
pantomiming to the audience.
They still can't hear you. We could just sit there and pretend like you said the funniest thing. Oh, Karl! You guys should have heard that one.
They know that's a lie, though.
See, now that was funny. All righty. Well, I guess until next time, we'll say see you later. Hope to catch you somewhere where we're all together again. Maybe a conference we can all be at. Looking at you, Karl.
I get it. I get
Okay.
it.
Yep.
All right. He didn't want to drive 5 hours to be here.
I get that.
All right. All right. Well, thank you all very much for showing up. Thanks again to our sponsors, and have a good rest of your conference and enjoy.